Good morning, high school. It is Monday, November 9th. This may be one of the last chances I get to be outside before it gets too cold. So this week, I walked around and looked at trees. We had been in Michigan with Melissa's family for 3 weeks and just returned to Connecticut, where we had been when we first got back to the States. And the first thing I noticed when we got here is that I could see the pond through the trees. When we left 3 weeks ago, you couldn't see the water from up by the house where we were. But now you can. You can look down across the lawn and see the pond through the trees. It caught me off guard just because it was different, but nothing weird was going on. When we left Connecticut 3 weeks ago, the leaves were starting to change colors on the trees, but they hadn't dropped yet. They were still up on the trees for the most part. In the 3 weeks that we were gone, Connecticut frosted, it had its first snow, and most of the trees had dropped their leaves. And so now we can see the water through the trees where the leaves used to be. Walking up the road, we can also see into the forest quite a bit further than we could before. Nothing weird is going on here. Leaves are pretty resource intensive for trees. And so when trees undergo any kind of stress, the first thing to go are the leaves. In winter, there's less sun to photosynthesize, there's less water to go around, at least in liquid form, and the water-heavy leaves can freeze and damage the trees. And so the trees decide to avoid this stress, let's just get rid of the leaves. Similar things happen in the Philippines and other countries when it gets really dry. Trees can lose a lot of water through their leaves, and so when there's not a lot of water provided from precipitation or other sources and it gets really hot, trees drop their leaves and wait till there's more water. So in a matter of weeks, with the stress of cold weather coming on, trees can go from being very lush and green to being bare and looking kind of dead. I had a friend from Zimbabwe in college who came to the US and had never experienced winter before. And I remember the first time when about November hit and he came in very, very concerned and wanted to know why all the trees had died, because he just had never seen trees shed their leaves like they did here. Under stress, trees have to reduce the things they're spending their limited amount of resources on. And it makes sense to ditch the resource-heavy leaves. We can do the same thing. When things get stressful in our lives, we can take the resources, the energy, the time that we have and decide we're not going to spend it on things that aren't vital anymore. We're going to pull in, we're going to stop interacting with the outside world as much and focus just on keeping ourselves alive, just on making sure that we survive. I don't know where you're at with COVID, wherever you're living right now, and however long it's been, but I'm sure it's been stressful. I'm sure there are things that have caused you additional stress in your life as you've had to deal with distance learning for school, the restrictions on your family, the restrictions on travel, and the abilities that you have. It's gotta be stressful. It's easy to feel like we have limited resources, and so in stressful times like this, we might want to pull in, stop interacting, and just focus on ourselves. We get a different picture in the Bible. In 2 different places, our lives are compared to trees, and in both, we're explicitly told that we don't ever have to drop our leaves. Psalm 1 starts, "Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers. His delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He's like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, whose leaf does not wither. Whatever he does prospers." Jeremiah 17 has a very similar picture. Verse 7 and 8 says, "Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. He'll be like a tree which is planted by the water, that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit." When trees are stressed, they aren't sending out new roots, they aren't bearing fruit, they aren't keeping green leaves. They stop doing those things to conserve their precious resources. And in both these images, we're told our lives don't need to be like that. Our lives can be always productive, always fruitful, always green and alive. And in both those places, the condition for that is trusting in God. We withdraw and protect ourselves like trees when we get worried that we're not going to have enough resources to go around. And so we need to focus the resources that we do have on the things that are important, the things that are actually going to help us survive. God wants to give us the resources that we can do more than just survive. We can have productive, fruitful lives, even in times of stress. He wants to give us that. We just need to want it from him. I can't control this situation. You can't control this situation. It's beyond us. We can't make it any less stressful right now. What we can do is live in a way that responds to that stress. We can stay close to God, we can dwell in his word, and we can have the resources we need to be fruitful, productive, to not have to drop our leaves. Stay safe, stay sane.